Yo, what's good? So today we're going to be talking about the latest changes we've made to arcade mode in WizardChess as contrasted against story mode. So in story mode you play through set encounters at set difficulty levels for as much time as you like, and in arcade mode you do basically the opposite. You can see up here we have 5 minutes on the clock, and that's actually already different to how the game was in the last update. So previously, arcade mode was a 15-minute game mode, and you would try and get as far as you could in that time. We found that was lacking for a number of reasons, if I'm being honest. So, when you defeat an encounter, you already had the option to visit the shop or go to the next encounter in arcade mode in the previous update, but there's this new button called Up the Ante, and if I click on it, it gets disabled, and then this skull gains a number 1 next to it. Let's go to the next encounter, and I will talk more about what's happening there. So, the ante is a way for the player to decide they want the game to be more difficult, and obviously that's not going to apply at the beginning of the game for most players, but once you become experienced, the start of a run can feel a little bit slow when you want to get onto a run and just build it up, and a lot of games have mechanisms like this in a roguelike where you can sort of boost the initial difficulty or do something to make the challenge increase over many runs. So our approach to this in arcade mode is going to be you can increase the difficulty ad libitum after each encounter, and that will give you access to more money to spend in the shop, and it will increase the difficulty obviously, but it also adds time to, one second, I must make a strategic decision. Let's make the luggage more metallic. So what this allows me to do is choose how long I want my run to actually go for. So if I keep clicking this button, I get a minute more every time I up the ante, right? So if I visit the shop, we actually have 6 Vim to spend here, which is more than usual because we upped the ante. And the way it works is that upping the ante doesn't give you more money immediately. It gives you, I'm going to buy this guy, it gives you more money for each encounter that you beat. So if I have the ante set at 2, I will gain whatever Vim I would normally get from an encounter, plus 2 bonus Vim at each encounter. So it starts to snowball quite quickly, the difference that this can make. Ooh, we're gonna lose our archer and our warlock, that was terrible. This is the problem with doing a demo like this. I'm not necessarily guaranteeing you top tier WizardChess play this while talking about it at the same time. Now, players can determine how hard they want the game to be. Up until this point, this is a quality we've really struggled with in WizardChess, is how hard should it be? This is a problem in many video games, obviously, and especially roguelikes, that the difficulty curve is very sensitive because any change to any variable sort of changes all of the possible runs you could even achieve. And so it's pretty scary to ever start messing with the internals there. We changed both, let's get this guy. We changed both arcade mode and story mode in this update in terms of how difficulty scales with them. You might notice if you've played the game that some of these enemies are quite strong, 9 attack, 7 attack. This is because I'm opting into the ante on this run. So the enemies will get harder than they have ever gotten in the past because of this new system. You're asking for it, therefore you can have more difficulty. And I think that that's as a needle you're trying to thread when it comes to dynamic difficulty, which is how WizardChess works. We determine how strong these enemies are based on where you are in your run, how much time you have, the current ante, and the strength of your party. And I'm gonna beat this beetle. Don't do it! No! I'm terrible at this game! So he has 7 attacks still, and he can move next to any of these units. Hold on, I gotta do a big brain move for a sec. Yes, I actually did a pretty small brain move, but I think we're gonna be okay regardless, because the luggage exists. So this is what happens if you up the ante too much. You're gonna end up in a situation where you're facing enemies that are a bit strong for you, and you don't have anything you can do about it. This is why we hesitated to build a system like this in the first place, because there are a lot of failure modes you can get into, but I've been starting to think that the right way for a roguelike to work is to give players the choice, and they can make it whatever they want. We've had many people tell us that this game is way too hard, and we've had even more people tell us this game is too easy, and at some point you have to square those variables with each other somehow. So I think that having it that you can consensually up the difficulty like this, and even exceed the difficulty of the most difficult challenges we built in story mode in the process, That feels like an interesting change to me, but a good one so far. So I'm going to restart this, and then we're going to use dev mode to cheese our way to the boss, so I can show you how some of that works quickly. So obviously each one in arcade mode start with a different set of units, but the actual curve of the ante is pretty much consistent between runs. What do? No one can... If enemy tries to run, it drags them back. Okay, so you can bring... I can bring you to me if I want to. Nope, I was gonna say I finally made a good move, but I actually didn't make a good move yet. I'm about to make a good move. Prepare yourself for a good move. I'm gonna buff this unit and this unit with the bard and get the kill with the mark on there. So one thing that also is affected by the difficulty in arcade mode is the AI intelligence. We are on the first encounter here, and you can kind of tell, to be honest, that we're on the first encounter here, because it's pretty easy. And they let me get away with some really, really dumb moves in this fight so far. These guys are both going to get hit by the bomb, but it doesn't matter because the encounter's over. So I'm going to enable dev mode, like I said, go to the next encounter, and then we're going to do this a few times and just speedrun our way to the boss. Hey, an orangutan with no codex description. Well, let's write that down. Yeah, you're supposed to have one. Luckily, we can continue to hack and get away with it. So if I just defeat all these enemies myself with manual overrides. That was a lot of rewards, holy crap. Yeah, that's good stuff. You can be wood. Nice, okay. Well, we're pretty weak, so I don't know that this boss fight's going to go that well, but what I wanted to talk about in the boss is that the difficulty of a boss challenge is also related to what ante you're at when you face it. So in story mode, you pick the difficulty at the start of the run, and then you get to the boss and you know how hard it will be. In arcade mode, depending on how many encounters deep you are and how high you've raised the ante, that will determine the effective challenge level of this boss, which means new abilities will become available at higher ante. Yeah, you go over here. Oop, okay, the walls are shifting. Well, that's not good. One thing I like about the ante system is that the runs are much shorter by default as well, so there's less of this problem of getting stuck on arcade runs that don't feel worthwhile, because you actually only have to spend 5 minutes to find out, and if you don't like the trajectory, you can just get off of the run. You know, arcade mode and story mode are sort of inspired by how bullet chess and standard chess relate to one another in the first place, so we want to be able to give quite different gameplay experiences between the two of them. They're not meant to overlap very much. I think we're doing a much better job of that with the addition of Ante. I made this run very hard for myself, and I got punished for it, so yeah. What I didn't show in this video is what it's like to play it on 0 ante, because I'm an addict to this new difficulty system. But imagine this, but less difficult, and that would be the base difficulty, believe it or not. Okay, I think that'll do it for this one. I demonstrated that the game is difficult, which is a big part of what we've been working on, so yeah, I lost. That's good. Thank you for watching. If you thought this was interesting, please consider leaving a like or commenting. I'm trying a more casual style of video here, a little bit shorter, a little bit faster paced. And if this looked cool to you, consider checking WizardChess out on Steam, maybe giving it a wishlist or buying it. And you can join our Discord and give me feedback and bug reports if you find any. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.